friends, it's Lacey from Pandemonium Publishing House. We are a little bit behind tonight, but that's okay because we are meeting with author Michael Peters, who is the author of To Live and Die in Noir City. And he is a fantastic author who just joined our team, and we're going to see all about his process and his writing life and kind of how he got started. So he'll be here in just a second. Hi.
Hi,
There we go. That seems better.
I'm in a different room now. I don't know what's wrong with my living room, so
That's
uh,
okay. Thanks for being here tonight.
no, no problem. No
Yeah, we're
problem.
excited to have you.
Well, thanks
And
for having me.
of course, and we're here to talk about your book, To Live and Die in Noir City, of course. And we got some questions lined up for you. So are you ready?
Sounds good to me. Well, we'll
I
see if
think
we
you're
get through it.
ready. I
Yeah, yeah, I
think you're
think,
ready.
yeah, half an hour ready now.
Okay, that's okay. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been writing for. Like, we're just starting this live, so nobody knows about the conversation that we had previously. But when you first came onto Pandemonium Publishing House, I know that you and Tommy Frayne have been writing for a really long time. So let's chat about that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we've known each other since grade two or something, grade one. But we sat beside
Wow.
each other. We sat beside each other in grade eight. And we would rush through our schoolwork, skip school dances, and just write stories. Some I look back at them. I've read some of them. They are not good. They're really, really bad. I wrote. He likes to tease me. I wrote a Jaws 5. Um, and we used to write the cast members. We had our own Oscars and everything. We'd review. People would sit around our desks and watch us, listen to us review. Um, Everything, movies, books, everything. Yeah, it got to the point where our teachers got fed up with us and sent us to young authors. And the two of us went to young authors. And everyone else's stories were really like, I mean, we were 13. Everyone's stories were really nice, and ours were pretty grisly and murdery. Uh,
I
we,
love
we, we,
that.
st- we still laugh about it, how dark. And the guy, I can't remember who the author was, but he kind of just stared at us when people were getting slaughtered in the first chapter. Um,
Well, that's why you're here. So welcome.
well, thank you.
I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah. We weren't writing about butterflies and flowers back then, so.
Right, right. Art is subjective, right? Absolutely. So send me the manuscript for Jaws 5. Let's take a look at it.
Oh boy, I'll send it to you. It's a binder of all my old stories that I've ever had. Um, yeah,
Super
he teases me
fun.
about it. Yeah, Jaws
I
5.
love that. That's exciting. You know what? Listen, creativity comes from all different kinds of places. And do you think that okay, first of all, let's start with why you chose noir kind of as your genre. And if you could kind of explain to our readers what that is. Before you came on board to Pandemonium Publishing House, I wasn't really familiar with noir. I knew it from movies and things like that. But as a writing genre, I was unfamiliar. So just for the readers here who maybe don't know too much about it, could you just explain it in a nutshell?
Yeah, it's kind of like crime fiction. Based, I don't know. Noir kind of started in the late 40s after post-World War, kind of the cynicism of the world after that. But it's a world, seedy environments, femme fatales, morally corrupt individuals, troubled protagonists, not always happy endings. Films like Double Indemnity is one of my favorite ones from the 40s. It's just this structured kind of way of dealing with the world, but it's not a happy ending kind of place. And I find reality in the world is not always a happy place. And I like to explore that with the deception of the characters or the deceptive nature of the characters
Hmm.
and just the darkness of it all. Because again, people aren't black and white. There's gray matter in everyone, and people are flawed, and people have good qualities and bad qualities, and it's very interesting to explore that. I find noir is a very interesting genre to explore that, and
Yeah.
then not modern day stuff too, modern day movies, neo
Hmm.
noir stuff. So
Yeah, very, very cool. So, do you ever think that every noir story kind of needs a sense of justice, even if it's twisted or delayed? So, like, let me just back up for a second. you said that you were a fan of Batman, right? So
Yes.
the Batman movies, that kind of gave you that like noir vibe, that sort of thing with like the settings and stuff like that. But do you think that every noir story needs a sense of justice? Like, are we wrapping this up with a bow, even if it's a twisted sense of justice, delayed justice? What do you think about that as an author in this genre?
I tend to not have complete endings, I find, when I write, and I don't have wrapped up in bow type of endings. I like to um, have the audience or the reader think about it afterwards and kind of feel uneasy about it. Not that I like to get too dark with my stories, but I like that it's not everything's perfect. I want you to remember it because sometimes the greatest movies, like Seven, is one of my favorite movies because that ending is just crazy. I didn't see it
Right,
coming, and it
right,
stayed with me. And that's very noir-like in its structure, and it's not a happy ending.
right,
There is a
right.
closure kind of thing. It is an ending, but it's not. So I kind of get influenced by that. And like going back to Batman, Batman's a very flawed character and troubled and angst and tortured individual. And I find that's with noir. These characters, it's not like end of a story, everything's hunky dory or perfect.
Do
It's not
you
like that.
Do you feel that this is like a side question. I personally relate more to the villains. Like Bane is one of my favorite villains of all time if we're talking about Batman. But do you feel that some of your characters kind of teeter on that villain-esque type of personality? And is there any redemption for them? Do you believe in that? Or do you believe that if someone's inherently a villain, that's always what they're going to be?
I like to have more depth to the character. I don't want to make somebody just a villain or somebody just a protagonist. And it is good to have them change and alter the way they go about things because it would be kind of boring if the character was the same and the villain kind of becomes over the top or cliched. Now, villain is fun. They are fun to write because they have the most fun, right? I read actors that they prefer playing villains than heroes because the hero's kind of like that. I don't want to say white bread, but kind of just straight arrow character, and the villain can be the most dastardly human being in the world. Um, so
But
yeah,
how
I
did
like to
they
have.
become that way, right? That's the question. Like, what happened for them to step into their villain era? And originally, maybe they were just like us, or maybe they were just like the protagonist, someone who was, good at heart, but something set a chain in motion that made them into this villainous type of person. So, do you believe that? Do you think that something triggers those characters to become the way that they are? And I know in superhero movies and things like that, but in the film genre of noir, let's say, or even writing, let's talk about how those characters set out. Do you think that they kind of set out being everybody's good, or you've talked about contrast, so let's keep on that.
Yeah, I kind of look at like you kind of look at my friends' kids or something, and you see the innocence in children and everything like that, and then you see people later on in life going to jail or committing a crime, and you wonder when that happened, what caused that to happen, and what changes in a human being as they get older, like as you age and you mature and everything like that. So, like in the book that I wrote now, like I have the main character who doesn't really appear till further in, and this is a part of a trilogy. It's kind of him being drawn back into this life where he was a bad person, he was trying to be good, and he's kind of getting drawn back into the bad. That's kind of a cliched way of looking at it, but now it's as I explore him further, I want him to, kind of understand where he's coming from, get a better understanding who he is, and then try to become good in a way, as whatever good is defined to him. But it is tough to yeah, it's hard. Like, I mean, I would never write a super villain like a James Bond villain. Those guys seem so over the top and just, like cartoonish. I try to ground everything in reality. Although I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge fan of the Joker. Joker is my favorite villain of all time. But I find every time it starts getting too big, I'm like, I try to bring it back down to ground it because I have to make people relate to it. So that's my biggest thing,
Yeah,
to not go too big with something.
definitely.
Yeah.
Reality is the scariest thing, isn't it? So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Exactly.
noir often deals Noir often deals with moral ambiguity. So, do you find yourself sympathizing more with the hero or the anti-hero, or have your feelings changed? Like when you started out writing your characters, how did those translate for you? How did you see them? And were you along the journey? You know, we usually say as authors, the characters will tell you the story, where to go, right? Does that happen with you? And also, did you feel drawn to more one character more than the other when you were writing them? Or what's that sense of friendship, I guess, between you and your
Yeah, I don't. It's tough because I like the good characters are good to me. Like, I like writing villain stuff, and I don't think I could ever be as dark as that. That's why I kind of explore my imagination with it and kind of go darker with it because I can never do the things they do.
Mhm.
Um, but villains, I don't know. It's sorry. What was your main question again? I had all these
Sure,
thoughts in my
yeah.
head.
The moral ambiguity. So, do you ever sympathize more with one character versus the other? Like one of your characters, let's say, is a villain. Do you sympathize more with their journey because they had to do what they had to do and became a villain, or do you feel more connected to the hero in every story that you write, or where? What about in between?
I like. I like to think I relate to the hero, but again, I put a lot of myself into it. A lot of things I struggle with. Some of the femme fatales are based on ex-girlfriends. I won't tell them who they are, but some of the bad things that if they've ever done anything to me, they've kind of wound up in stories. And I'm kind of influenced by a lot of bad people in the world for the villains, but I put a lot of myself into it, and that's why I find that's the easiest writing. It's more cathartic that way, and I find I can fly
Hmm.
through it when I. It's kind of like I don't write a journal or anything like that, but I find that me expressing these feelings that I'm going through or you see on the news or stuff like that. So I'd like to
Hmm.
say relate to the good guys, but again, those good guys are flawed and they deal with a lot of struggles. And that's why I think I have a lot of inner monologues in my stories
Hmm.
because the mind is your greatest enemy at times and a lot of the characters struggle with their inner thoughts and who they are and what they want to do and like the self doubt and everything like that. So I'd like to say I relate to every character in a way. I'd like to think I'm more of the good guy than the bad guy. I'd be scared if I was the
Okay.
bad guy, but yeah, it's just everything is flawed. Nothing's black and white, as I said earlier. It's just
So, do you feel that your characters kind of lead the way? Do they tell you the story, or do you start with an outline, or your work? Is there a process that you follow, or does it just kind of come to you? Because every author is different.
I am really bad at writing outlines. I don't do outlines. I kind of let everything flow organically. So I have an idea and I like the idea and then I'll write a little bit. I mean, this gets me in trouble because I get stuck in parts and I get writer's block and all that stuff. But I also don't like painting myself into a corner saying, here's the whole structure here and this is where I got to get to. Sometimes I'll know the ending, it's just the struggles to get to the ending. Um but yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's outlines are not my thing. And I read a lot of Stephen King in the back in the day, and he doesn't know sometimes if his characters are going to live or die, and it's sometimes he's sad when they die because it just organically happens. And sometimes I don't want to kill a character off or do something to a character that's just for shock value, right? I want to make it organically part of the story. So that's how I kind of look at things in that regard.
Okay, so they can lead you to where they kind of want to go, and you put them on the page, and then they tell you the story. A lot of authors will say that that's their process in terms of, I don't know where I'm going with it, tell me where to go. So that kind of sounds like what happens to you as well. And everybody's process is different. There are some authors who outline every single detail, so it's really different for everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
If you
oh,
could,
sorry, go ahead. You still there?
yeah, are you there
Okay.
too?
Yeah. You froze up for a second. Yeah, no, it's weird. I tell Tom this sometimes too. Is like I know internally if something feels right in the story. I know internally if it's the right fit. Like I will get like, yep, that's it, exactly where it's supposed to go. If it's Like I don't write 2,000 words a day or 1,000. I only write when I feel it's there, and that's not maybe the best strategy, but I know internally that that's the way I need to write the stories and the character, and because it will flow perfectly. If I'm forcing something, the
Mhm.
writing will suffer, and then I end up editing it or getting rid of it anyway. So, sorry to cut you off. That was what I
Okay.
in that
No,
way.
no, that's a good tip. Absolutely. And everybody's different. And, some people definitely do kind of wait for that inspiration because they know that that's going to be their best work on the page. It's more of an intuitive exercise of what your gut feeling is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly.
Okay, so if you could go back and see your early draft without knowing it was yours, what would surprise you most about it? That's a hard question.
What would surprise me most about it? Ooh. Well, one thing is I know I deserved a lot of those red circles and marks in my essays and papers back into the day. Um, Back in the day, I my writing I had no punctuation, I had no like structure, I had nothing like that. The only thing that was shocking about it is how far I've come now to how shockingly terrible I was back then. And
I
it
think that's every author, though.
But I mean, I'm like, I look at my essays, and even in university at times, I'm like, I deserve those. I deserve those red circles. And what does this mean? And these question marks. I sure did because I tend to run on sometimes with sentences. I make a point and then I keep going with it. I have to like beat the point down. So I think I've gotten better with that with pacing and everything like that. So going back there, surprising that I even made it as a writer because who knew?
Well, we're happy to have you, and we
Well,
love
thank
your
you.
book To Live and Die in Noir City. That is available on Amazon. We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. And it's also going to be available as a Kindle soon. Everything is kind of delayed at the moment for uploads and things like that. They're in the distributor's hands, so we're just waiting for those to be checked and ready to go by them. And then you'll have the ebook for To Live and Die in Noir City as well. Okay, so. Your book weaves together four stories that eventually collide. So, how did you design that intersection? Was it planned? Like we talked about that just a second ago. Um, and you just kind of found that naturally. But this is a really interesting way of writing. And I think that's kind of what surprised me the most when I read this is that we have four stories that eventually collide. So, can you explain a little bit about that? And I'm going to ask you a follow-up question in a second to do with that.
Sure, yeah. So when I started writing, I was really into writing short stories. So I was really influenced by Stephen King when I first started. So I wrote a lot of thriller horror at the beginning, and then I kind of went into more of a crime genre. And then my second book that I self-published was a cocktail book, and we were trying to come up with ideas of how to come about to do something like what themes to do. And then I figured about film, and then we wanted to compare create the drinks comparing or you know connecting to the stories. So then I had this idea because I'm very influenced. I love Quentin Tarantino, and I love how this world he creates and all these characters are interconnected. And Stephen King does the same thing throughout his novels. He'll randomly drop a tidbit from one book that was related to another book years ago, and I find that so interesting how somebody can create a world within their within their imagination and all these characters combine in a way. So that's why I kind of want to do that. I wanted to build a world that I kind of created in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how they were going to connect at first. There was one story in there that I wasn't sure, and then I realized how to connect it. And then from then on, it just worked perfectly. And then when I'm writing the second and third book, it's all interconnected. All these, it's growing more characters, but it's all interconnected in a world. And I just find that such an intriguing and great writers, again, like Tarantino, that can just create a world through film or books or anything like that.
That's excellent advice. Absolutely. That's kind of what you want to carry over. It's almost like it's I've seen pictures online, Stephen King with like drawings of it, and then Dolores Claiborne, and then Pet Cemetery, and all of those things, and it's like these are all things that he has created but are still the Stephen King brand. So I totally understand kind of what you're saying, and his work does get really different at times, and sometimes you're like, I didn't even know Stephen King wrote this. But I do love the intersectionality of books and characters and even Easter eggs, when you see certain things and you're like, oh, wait a second, that's from this book, like you said. So,
It's
okay,
exciting.
so yeah, the second part to this is how do you keep each storyline distinct in tone, okay, and voice while ensuring that they still feel part of the same universe? Because really, these are four stories that interconnect, so how do you keep that voice and the tone of everything and keeping them straight so the reader knows where they are?
Well, I try to just go by the guideline that's noir. So they're in a world, a film noir world, in this city, um, and that way, that's why I keep everything balanced. I can create as many characters as possible because there are a lot of them. Where I was looking through it the one day, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of bad characters, like evil, angry characters in this thing, and you have to have that one light,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's I structure, I keep it grounded in terms of the noir genre, and then in the city, and characters could be anything they want, but it's easy to connect somebody. Like one scene takes place in a jazz club, and I only wrote that because I got really into jazz for a couple years ago, and wanted to go to a jazz club, and then I'm like, what a great character! But then I can connect it to the other characters, and so yeah, I can connect them that way. I don't find it that difficult to give them their own voice. Sometimes I don't want to become too stereotypical. I don't want to have like every woman angry because then it looks like misogynistic in a way. But that's the genre though, right? Femme fatales,
Right.
and so but you want to make everyone complex. You don't want to make the guy always a good thing because it looks bad in terms of that. So I try to give each character depth in a way to not make them fully evil or fully good. But again, the
Mm-hmm.
noir genre is what totally
So
grounds
that's
me.
what guides you. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Guides and grounds you. That's really.
the structure. Sorry, you're cutting up. I can't hear what you're saying. Oh, I can't hear you right now.
You are frozen.
There we go. You're back.
Okay, you were frozen for a second. Sorry about
Oh yeah,
that. I
you
don't
were
know what's going
talking.
on.
You were talking, but there was no sound at all. So
Oh, okay. Weird. Sorry. I
yeah.
don't know what in the world is going on with Instagram tonight. So in a sentence, what do you hope your readers take from your book? Like as authors, we set out to entertain or educate and, help people escape and all of those things with writing, but what do you want them to really take away from your book specifically?
Just to have an escape, to escape reality for a few hours and to get immersed into a story that's, if you're into the crime genre, get immersed into those kind of stories. Because I find reading is the greatest thing or something just to escape. Because sometimes the world is really a scary place. And I find you get immersed in a book or you get immersed in a movie or you get immersed in music. It just takes you away for a little bit. So if somebody can just, find enjoyment in my stories and like them and just kind of escape the reality for a while. I think that's
Hmm.
my main thing there.
Do you hope that you kind of introduce them to a new genre maybe or get them to find out more about noir? Do you think that that's something that you kind of set out to do, or is that kind of a secondary thing? You wrote this in the genre because you enjoyed it?
Yeah, because you always write what you would want to read, right? But it would be cool though if I can influence or inspire people to seek out some movies or books like Raymond Chandler or even Tarantino movies or like find more like look into something like I remember getting into stuff and it influenced me so much that I wanted to seek out more and learn more about that certain thing. So I've always been in noir, so if people want to seek out the movies and seek out the books and just see the writing and like those pulpy books from the 50s and those crime guys and those characters you don't like, but you like them anyways because they're just mean, and it's just stuff like that that hopefully people will, you know, understand more of the noir genre because it is around and everything like that. But I mean, not everyone likes those kind of films, but I find
Hmm.
again movies like Seven, which is easily my top five of all time, but how dark and the world is, and oh, that's noir. It's one of its neo noirs at its finest.
Definitely. So, what are you working on next? Can
I
you
am
give us
working.
a little snippet?
Well, I've written the second book. This is a trilogy. The second book is ready to go, and I am in the middle of writing the third book, which is slowly changing genres into more of a western. I like to
Oh,
play around with genre. I don't like to get pigeonholed into one. So when I first started, it was more thrillers, horror, suspense, and it's crime. And now I'm kind of focusing on western because I kind of want to explore and see my limitations as a writer and see what I can do
yeah.
and can't do. It's a little struggle. I mean, I try to watch a lot of western films or western literature and to get a better understanding of the Wild West. But I'm trying to like merge all kinds of genres and a little bit of maybe supernatural a little bit in this one. So noir, western, supernatural in the third book. Um,
Interesting.
so I'm not far in. I'm only about 17,000 words in, and there's a lot more to go. But I'm getting there. But the second book is all done. It's very noir and very inspired by noir. And all the chapters in the second book and the first book are all taken from film noir movies. And everything is inspired by that. And I don't hide my homages, I guess, or my inspirations from these movies because a lot of things inspire me to write a scene, and that's taken from a movie or something like that. And then I kind of just put my own twist on it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And also, there is a snippet in this book, To Live and Die in Noir City, for your next one. So I think we've got one chapter in there, don't we, as kind of a teaser to say this is what's coming next. That's for book two, right?
Yeah, it's called Sins of the Angel. And that,
Yes.
yeah, the first chapter is the first chapter in the book. Yeah, and that it kind of like gets the whole story going. And this is where I really open up the story and I bring in a lot more characters. And then there's like an intermission in the second half, and it's like kind of like what I'm a big fan of Jaws. Jaws was kind of one movie, and then halfway through it becomes like a totally different movie when they're on the boat.
Yes.
And I kind of
Yes,
got inspired with that.
definitely.
I kind of held these characters in the first, and then the second book, it kind of takes place in one setting with all these multiple characters. And I liked how Jaws was basically two films in one, so I kind of inspired by that. So when I wrote the second book.
Awesome. I'm so excited that you're writing a trilogy for this, and we're so happy that you're here. Where can people follow you on Instagram or social media or your website, or what do we have? Where can we follow you, Mike?
I'm on Wanderlustful Canadian is my Instagram handle. I have a Facebook author page called just Michael Peters. And my website is popculture101.com. That's more like an online business card. I don't really update it a lot. It's just more all my writing that I've ever done. Like I don't do
Wow,
news or
awesome.
anything like that. It's just basically here's something, here's a new snippet, here's my new book out, and I kind of just keep the website up so in case people want to see what I've written. Instead of giving a business card, I'm like, here's a link, and then you can see everything. I kind of get the better understanding of who I am as a writer. I'm not really on X anymore. It's like about 6 years now. So Instagram, Facebook, and my website. There's too much
Okay.
social media out there, so
I know there's a ton, absolutely.
I can't
So
keep track of it.
thank you so much for being here, for chatting with us, and for telling us about your process and, explaining the genre that you write in and what you're working on next. And you can get Mike's book on Amazon, Indigo Chapters, Kohl's, Barnes and Noble, and he's going to be having a launch party soon. So stay tuned for those details as well. We will get that to you as soon as we have those firmed up. And then you're going to be able to get his next book in the series that will be coming out. And we will definitely talk about that. And we'll have you back on for sure. So thanks for being here, Mike. I hope you have a really great night. And we're so glad that you're on our team at Pandemonium Publishing House. So thank you for trusting us with your work. And it was a pleasure to kind of work on your cover too, because it was something that was so kind of out of the box. And it's probably one of my favorites up there for sure.
Yeah, thanks again. You guys did a great job, and I appreciate everything you guys have done. And yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you guys.
Awesome. Well, this is just the beginning, and we can't wait for more from Michael Peters. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, Facebook, and check out his website and get his book, To Live and Die in Noir City. You're going to love it. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the second one. Thanks so much, Mike. Have a really good
Awesome.
night.
Thank you. You too. Thanks again.
Sure thing. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.